right here when he's got a book out and maybe two or three people respond. But I tried to get to explain to him that is actually common. If you go to my page right now, I have 3,000, 3,500 somewhere up in there friends. I could post something right now. When I post this podcast, I may potentially get 10 people who actually are on my page to listen to it. The next 10 people are going to be 10 random people who just happen to come across it. And after that, it'll come from shares, but it'll typically not go past maybe 25, 30 people that are reached. We will get on each other's pages and only lightweight pay attention because a lot of times it's a numbers game and we want to have our numbers up. And I get it, and it's cool, and it's whatever. But at the same time, you know, try to support where you can. Now, I will also say this in their defense. A lot of times there are posts that you never see. Like there are some of you who are friends of mine and it seems like you're never posting anything, and I'll go to your page and you've been posting for days on end. It's never been shown to me. I don't see it. The posts that I see on my page are typically the same, about 25 people. Anybody outside of those 25 people, because all of you are putting messages up probably at the same time, I'm not going to see messages from 3,000 different people just hitting my timeline, unless I'm willing to spend the next 3 or 4 hours scrolling. And even with that, I'm not seeing everybody's messages are not hitting my page. So there are times when some of you are posting and I don't see the post because the post never comes to me in the first place. So there's also that, when I post things, I know it doesn't go to everybody's timeline. But I also know that if you are following my actual business page, at least half of the people on my business page are actually getting the notification that my podcast is up. Now, my business page has about maybe 300 followers right now. So I know at least 150 people are being told my podcast is there. But I have a solid group of about 10 to 20 who will actually go and listen to it. And that's just the nature of social media. So you kind of have to promote yourself a little bit harder. You kind of have to like they have these watch parties. And I probably won't do it with this one, but I believe I'm going to actually create a video talking about this and create a watch party so that I can personally invite people and let them know, listen, I have a podcast that's up. This is what's going on. I need you to go give it a listen. Even if you listen to it and you want to come back and critique, well, you said this and why'd you say that? Or there was a space right here. Because in this podcast, there's going to be a space, and I'm sure any of you who are really listening will be able to catch it, where I had to pause out of my podcast because my daughter needed something. And usually I can pause in my podcast, do something and come back and pick up, and you'll never realize I was gone. However, when I came back this time, I actually didn't quite remember where I was at. So it's going to seem like there is a weird skip in there. And I told you, I don't edit this podcast. So you are getting it exactly as it's happening right here in my house. So there's going to be a space in there somewhere and you'll catch it. And that is what it is. Like I'll probably get to a point where I edit. I doubt it seriously. Now my bookcast will definitely be edited because I'm going to be telling a story and it needs to flow just so. But here we're just having a one-sided conversation. We're just sharing information, and I don't want to start cutting and taking things out and removing things and tweaking it to try to make it sound perfect, because conversations with my close friends are never perfect conversations. Things happen, things are said, conversations go left, they take a turn down a back alley and end up on the correct street. Like, it's just, where I'm going with this. They're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And I don't want this podcast to come across as if this was just absolute perfection. This is just me. Now with that being said, the last thing that I wanted to touch on here before I get up out your ear is this. Let's try to be a little more respectful of each other. I kind of touched on this in a video I did the other day. Here's of late, and it's more than likely because of quarantine, there are people by the boatloads. Mine has finally slowed down, but just 4 days ago, I had 800 friends on Facebook. I am now pushing really close to 3,500. If I haven't already reached 3,500, because I didn't even go back and look. Just all up out of nowhere. And I believe I friended somebody that caused the floodgates to open, because at one point I was going through and I was trying to change up my timeline of more, adding more spiritual people, adding, more people who are connected to the earth and connected to others. Like, I wanted to kind of change the way my timeline was looking. And I've friended some people who I felt that their spirit was in a beautiful place that I love my spirit being in. Like, I love to connect with like-minded people. And I just got that vibe off of looking at their pages. And I friended a couple people, and I think somewhere up in there, I must have friended somebody who had a ton of friends already. And because I never look at how many friends you have when I friend people, I just send a friend's request. But I must have friended somebody who has a ton of friends, and the next thing you know, I had friends requests coming in so quickly that at one point I couldn't keep up with them. I actually had to take a day and just sit down when I got off work, and it took me like 2 hours to pull it off, because as I was friending people, people were then coming and inboxing me. And this is what I mean by having respect for others. We are out here connecting for a reason. Although I say it's strange that all of a sudden I just started getting these friends requests, but as I look at the people that I'm now connected to, and I look at their stories and the things that they talk about and the things that they post, this is not happening for no reason. We're connecting for a reason. And it is a beautiful connection that we need to continue to grow and nurture. It is a beautiful thing. We are creating our little tribes, and we are coming together to help each other grow, and we are creating this community of just beautiful souls and amazing individuals and beautiful minds and creative people. And every now and then, you get some folks in there that you have to fling about your circle. People, please stop going into people's inboxes. And it's happening to women more than it's happening to men, but it's happening to both. Stop going into people's inboxes with the, oh, sweet, beautiful, sweet, lovely, sweet, gorgeous, most beautiful I've ever seen, sweet, sweet, and sweet. Stop. Because as much as you feel as though you are giving compliments to somebody and they should be happy, number one, they didn't ask. Number two, I happen to know for a fact that at least 3 women that I've spoken to have actually put up posts. If you inbox me as soon as I accept your friend's request, I will block you. If you call me in Messenger as soon as you see a request go up, or at all, because such as myself, I don't take calls in Messenger. If you call me in Messenger, I will block you. I sat and would watch my phone ring, and as soon as it would stop, type in a name, and you have been blocked. That is such an invasion, and I don't think y'all understand. you are forcing your presence upon somebody who did not ask for it. When you send somebody a friend's request and and they accept that friend's request rather, that is because, okay, I'm taking the time to get to know you as an individual and to connect with you on this platform. Now, if we start to make a connection and I'm seeing your post, you're seeing my post, we're commenting on each other's posts, I really like how your mind works, you really like how my mind works, then you end up with somebody like my sister that I met the other day. You end up with someone who actually can be a good friend. But that doesn't happen overnight. That doesn't happen because you jumped in my inbox and told me I was the cutest thing you've ever seen. Like, none of that. And that's not what I'm here for. None of that matters. I have somebody who tells me how beautiful I am. And I'm good. I'm not getting ready to do anything disrespectful. I am not getting ready to do anything that is unbecoming of who I am. Like, I'm not getting ready to step outside of my relationship for anybody. So I'm good. There are women on here that have flat out told folks that they are married and still get tons of messages in their inboxes, and people who get mad at them because you didn't respond. I had somebody get upset with me about, oh, you're just somebody who just leaves messages sitting there and you never respond. I had to tell that person, I said, number one, this inbox is not as important as my actual life. Number two, there's about 200, and I've taken screenshots and showed them to people. There are like 200 messages in my inbox right now. And I've got a podcast, I've got a show, I've got music to put out, I have a job, I got kids, a dog, and a man, and a family. And you think that I'm just sitting here just waiting on my inbox? Just scrolling through, like, I have other things to do. So when things like that happen, you're getting blocked. That's an invasion, people. That's an invasion. Don't do that. Stop that. Because when you instantly jump into my inbox after a friend's request has been accepted, the first thing that goes up in my mind is a red flag that somehow you are trying to scam me or you're trying to do something to me. And this is the story that I want to end this podcast on, because, again, I told y'all in the beginning I was going to explain to you why I am so leery of people. It's not just the fact that I feel other people's pain, problems, and that whole thing. It is now, at the age I am now, the reason why I'm so leery of individuals is because, A, I had somebody steal my identity and pretended to be me for years. To the point where now everything I do has to be ran through a specific... I can't file my taxes without a specific number from the government because they're watching everything that goes in and out under my name. So in the event that anybody decides they want to hack into my stuff or steal something of mine, they are on top of it. I mean, there are police reports and everything attached to this situation. Like, I can barely use my own name without me being questioned. If somebody else does, they are searching for and hunting for whoever it is because they're still trying to figure out what happened with this initial incident. So anybody who does anything with my name at any given point in time, you're going to be answering to someone else rather quickly because they're still trying to figure out who pulled off this first stunt. And they finally kind of narrowed it down to who did it. They initially thought it was someone else, come to find out that it wasn't the individual that they thought. And then they figured out, for the most part, who it was, but it ended up being a group of people, which is why it's taken so long for them to work on it. But they are still actively getting that together. Now, if you want to grab my name up and try to put something in my name right now, be my guest. The federal government will be looking for you. And times is hard out here right now, too. Get yourself locked up if you want to. The other issue And the reason why I'm very funny about people, and I, number one, just as a person,